Southern Pacific 16th Street Station and 16th Street Tower in Oakland, Alameda County, is a Beaux-Arts Railroad passenger depot located at the western edge of the Prescott neighborhood of West Oakland on a 4.7-acre parcel west of Wood Street between 16th and 18th Streets. The depot includes a 13,000 square foot main hall with flanking wings, an 8,000 square foot baggage wing, and a two-level concourse with elevated steel interurban platform structure. Adjacent to the depot is a signal tower about 125 feet northeast of the station. The three-story reinforced concrete building has a hipped roof and wide boxed eaves, measuring about 21 by 36 feet and about 35 feet tall. The roof is composition shingle with belt course moldings between the first and second floor and just beneath the third floor windows. Ribbon bands of tall windows on all four sides of the third story gave tower operators an unobstructed view of train movements. Interurban tracks were removed from the upper concourse in 1941 when interurban service stopped. Railroad tracks were removed in 1994 when Amtrak service to the station ended. The main station building is 273 feet wide with a 60-foot tall main block and lower recessed wings designed by Chicago architect Jarvis Hunt, a master of Beaux-Arts style and of railroad depot design. The building epitomized the typology of the Beaux-Arts Railroad terminal, in which the importance of transportation is proclaimed by a monumental scale, heavy masonry construction, and classical ornament. Its primary facade is oriented towards the street, and the building, while expertly designed for functional integration with railroad infrastructure, shields the industrial nature of railroad transportation from public view. Soaring arched windows evoke Roman baths and flood the grand main hall with natural light, providing the visitor with a majestic portal into Oakland. Meanwhile, its carefully engineered integration with national regional rail lines, its steel concourse, and its reinforced concrete construction underline the inherent modernity of the 16th Street station. The small three-story signal tower, roughly 125 feet northeast of the station, is functionally significant and lacks the rich materials and grandeur of the primary building. The property is nominated under Criterion A in the areas of transportation and ethnic heritage for its role in the development of rail transportation in the city of Oakland and the San Francisco Bay Area. The property is also eligible under Criteria A and B in the areas of social history and ethnic heritage for its association with the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters and C.L. Dellums, an Oakland native who became the vice president of the Sleeping Car Porters Union and whose office was located within the station. The site is also nominated under Criterion C as a locally significant example of Beaux-Arts railroad station design by master architect Jarvis Hunt. The combined period of significance is 1912 to 1971, from the building's initial construction until the end of Pullman sleeping car service when Southern Pacific Railroad's passenger car service was taken over by Amtrak. The property is nominated under the cover of the African Americans in California multiple property document under the theme Making a Living, as a property type associated with industry and labor, specifically institutional buildings and sites, as a significant workplace for Pullman porters and redcaps, and properties associated with significant persons as the work site of C.L. Dellums. The property is nominated by the Oakland Heritage Alliance, a third party not affiliated with the property owner. 86 letters of support has been received, and support was referenced in a letter of support for the MPDF. No letters of objection have been received. Staff supports the nomination and recommends the State Historical Resources Commission determine that Southern Pacific 16th Street Station is eligible under National Register Criteria A and C at the local level of significance with a period of significance of 1916 to 1971 and meeting the requirements of the African Americans in California multiple property document.
Felicia, would you like to comment?
Okay, so my comment in regards to the station, obviously William did a fabulous job explaining all the elements of it. In addition to, this property's under a lot of hazard, for lack of a better, challenges. It is privately owned. They have the plans to surround it with housing so tightly that you will not be able to really do much with that structure. A designation opens up so much opportunity for this property, from the visibility, for the potential for tax credits and so forth. And this property also represented a key cultural segment of the African American population. If you worked at that station, you had to live within several blocks of that station. And that is one of the reasons why there is so many African Americans in West Oakland. You could not live west, is it west? West? East. You couldn't live beyond Adeline Street if you were African American and you were a Pullman porter or you were a red cab or you were a cleaner. You had to live close. So that's why there's such a concentration of African Americans. And also, this station suffered from the redevelopment efforts of Oakland, with the 3 freeways put through West Oakland, with a BART system put through West Oakland, with a major postal service distribution center put through West Oakland. Nominating this property, allowing it to potentially be adaptive reuse, is something that can be a beginning of making amends to the community and being able to provide a cultural hub for that community. There is no cultural hub right now in West Oakland because it has been chopped up so much. So I'm really imploring everyone to consider this one and to put it on the National Registry because it is the right thing to do. Oh, and Naomi's here. She's with me from Oakland Heritage Alliance.
We've been working together on this.
If you could just state your name.
I'm Naomi Schiff. I'm the secretary of Oakland Heritage Alliance and a longtime board member. But the history of our organization with this station goes even before I became a board member. Oakland Heritage Alliance has been concerned about that station since the second issue of our newsletter, which was published in the spring of 1981. That means it's been 43 years of our involvement, first with Southern Pacific Railroad, then with the Oakland Redevelopment Agency, Holiday Development, Bridge Housing, Caltrans, and now with City Ventures, a development company. Southern Pacific objected to declaring it a local landmark, but the City Council designated it anyway in 1983. In fact, when we looked at the 1990 Caltrans description of the station in a historic resource evaluation, they didn't mention anything about black people. They mentioned stuff about how Harriman was really important to the railroads. In 2005, we participated in an enormous public outcry because there was a proposal to demolish the baggage wing of the station, which is the entire northern wing. West Oaklanders pointed out that it was an integral part of the building. In fact, the interurban tracks run right over it. And that it was the workplace of many employees, such as dining car workers, red caps, sleeping car porters, and connected to the history of C.L. Dellums. Those protests were very successful. We filled a very large city hall meeting, and the structure remains intact as a result. So now it's an important milestone to get it nominated for the National Register, and we're very grateful to Mr. Berg and the state office for guiding us through to this application and to the thorough research of Cara Brunzel, our consultant. We really look forward to finding a way to get this station rejuvenated as an activity hub for West Oakland, celebrating its role in Oakland's rail and multimodal transportation history. Its legacy is a key destination point for generations of all kinds of people arriving in the Bay Area, and its importance as a focal point of Black union organizing. If you have questions, we're happy to answer them. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Were there any, Jody, was there anybody online that would like to speak on behalf of this?
Yes, we have 4 people who have registered online. 2 have indicated they would like to speak. So first we will go to Brendan Schwartz. Mr. Schwartz, I'm allowing you to speak. If you will unmute yourself, you will have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, hopefully you can hear me. Yeah, I just wanted to speak a little piece to this piece of history here. I think to the broader point of the context of African American history, the 16th Street Station is really an emblem of this community. And I think the challenges that it faces are sort of parallel to that of the community. I think what's really important to understand is the people of West Oakland and Prescott are a community that have, I think, fought for generations for the right to participate in the economy and culture of this nation, and have answered its call many times throughout the years, starting, with the railroads. We have the artistic contributions of 7th Street. There were the shipyards in the Second World War. And I think, particularly with respect to 16th Street Station, as others have mentioned, we have the Pullman porters who played such a critical role in staffing the booming railroad industry during that time and enabling the growth of the country. And their members like C.L. Dellums and A. Philip Randolph agitated for the creation of the first black union, and as well as the integration of the home front defense industries during the World War II. And they also, I think, set the stage for the civil rights activism of the 1960s, and of course that includes the Black Panthers. And as this pertains to the present day, Oakland, I think, has kind of become this sort of poster child for. I think it's kind of under cultural attack from outside influences. People painting it as sort of a failed city. And it does, it faces many economic and cultural challenges after, decades of redlining and redevelopment, gentrification and dispossession. And I think it's sort of at risk of losing its connection to a history that it should really be proud of. And I think despite the many challenges that it faces in this restoration, all of those challenges are really opportunities for this community to reconnect with and reclaim that history and to reinvent themselves for the new era. So I think that's kind of all I have to say. And thank you so much, everybody, for being here and participating.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. We now have Mr. James Watt. Mr. Watt, I am allowing you to speak if you would like to unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. So my name is James Watt, and I represent. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. And I am here to speak for the nomination of the Pacific 16th Street Station Tower as you know, West Oakland. I've actually been in the area for about 3 years, but even during that short time, I've come to realize that there is such a rich history.
Excuse me, Mr. Watt, we cannot hear you. Mr. Watt, we cannot hear you.
Your microphone may not be working correctly. Your words are coming out garbled. We can't really understand what you're saying, Mr. Watt. Mr. Watt, would you like to try again if you unmute yourself? No, it's not any better. You might be able to, Mr. Watt, you might be able to call in. Does anyone have that information? Call-in information?
Do you guys have the call-in information?
That's it.
915 number? Should we have them call that number?
Yeah, you're right.
Call my cell phone.
I forgot about that. What time did you play?
7.
You know, caller?
Mr. Watt, this is Julie Polanco. If you want to call my cell phone, which is 916-204-7295, I can put it up to the microphone. I'll repeat that number for you if you're interested. It's 916-204-7295.
Mr. Watt has logged out. He may log in and try again. In the meantime, are there any other folks who are online who would like to speak to this agenda item? Please raise your hand. Chairman, no one is raising
Okay.
their hand.
Well, while we're waiting for Mr. Watt, we'll start with the commissioner comment. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I think most of you know, I'm a non-flyer, so I travel a lot nationally by rail, and I have to tell you, this complex is just a gem, a rare gem, and I hope it can find a reuse and join stations like Chicago and the District of Columbia that are more than just transportation hubs. San Francisco lost its mission-style station a number of decades ago at 3rd and Townsend Street, and I certainly hope it doesn't happen to this. Just the whole complex, from the lights to everything, I really hope it can find a reuse, and I'm very supportive of it going on the register.
No. Any other? Yes.
Again, part of the value of the multi-property submission is pointing out some of the social and economic, cultural aspects of this larger story. And I think what was talked about in the nomination about the sleeping car porters union and CL Dellums and so forth is, we should never forget, is as important a part of why this is a landmark as the fact that it is a beautiful Beaux-Arts building that delights the eye. But the economic history, the social history, the union history is, for our purposes, I believe, equally important. Also, in terms of, I mean, we do not really, this commission deal with the economic value of the building and other uses, but I would like to point out that another train station from 1912, in case people don't know this, in Detroit, the Michigan Central Station, it has been sitting there in right near downtown Detroit. It was designed in 1912 by the same architects who designed Grand Central Station in New York City. Beautiful, beautiful building, also Beaux-Arts. It also has a high-rise office building, and that building had been sitting there abandoned for, I don't know, 2 or 3 decades. The windows were all broken out. It was, it was a great place for urban spelunkers to go to show, the decay of Detroit. Well, a couple of years ago, Ford Motor Company bought the building, restored it beautifully, just opened earlier this year. And it is the center for Ford Motor Company's advanced research into new modes of transportation. So this historic building is, again, a part of the city with a use looking towards the future. This is one of for me, the values of historic preservation, recognizing these buildings and so forth. Finally, I would like to say that sometime around 1956, I left from this building to visit family in Kansas on the train. And it was a memorable experience for a 4 or 5 year old kid to ride the train at that time. But we left from this station. That's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
I just have
Yeah.
just a quick comment. I was appalled but not surprised at Ms. Schiff's comment about earlier, I think, did you say the 1980s, way back when? Of not even recognizing the African-American history of the building and the neighborhood and what, why that neighborhood is what it is, as you were pointing out. But again, it's sort of a theme here today for me. It really, again, underscores this whole notion of expanding what we think is significant culturally. And the multiple property nomination is just such an important and powerful vehicle for doing that, because you can really recognize through all of these, I think, A, B, C, and D, all of the layers and levels of significance to these properties to really tell us a whole story rather than this is a architecturally significant building. We've come a long way.
Great, thank you. Did Mr. Watt ever call back in?
Yes, Mr. Watt has rejoined us. Mr. Watt, I'm going to try this again and allow you to speak. If you can unmute yourself and go ahead and speak. You have 3 minutes.
Can you hear me now okay? If not, it's okay.
Yeah, no, this is great. We can hear you just fine. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to, thank you again for allowing me to speak and appreciate your standing with me here as I figure out the technical issues. But yeah, just wanted to voice my support for the nomination of the 16th Street Station. And I'm coming today as a resident of West Oakland as well. But I've only actually lived here for about 3 years. But even during that time, I've just discovered that there's such a rich history in this place. And it's been equally exciting to discover that history, but then also equally dispiriting to see that the kind of physical evidence of that history has been slowly erased and neglected and obscured by development as time has gone on. And I think often that development has been kind of unthinking and uncaring, and often even intentionally prejudicial in ways that are really disheartening to see. So yeah, and to the point, even just last week, I actually had teams out here, lines to the Key System streetcar that ran through my neighborhood that once connected 16th Street Station to West Oakland and Prescott and then further into downtown and the broader East Bay area. So I just want to say that it feels like it is still an active process, that some of the history of this area is being erased, and I just really don't want to see that happen to the 16th Street Station. We should be honoring and preserving and highlighting that station's rich history that other folks have commented on today, and really highlight and make sure that it's recognized as such an important place, as a port of entry for this influx of diverse new Oaklanders in the 20th century, as well as the homeland diplomat porters and whatnot as well. So that's what I came here to say. Just would absolutely urge the this is a very important place for West Oakland. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Are there any other comments? So, first of all, thank you, so much for putting this together. I didn't mention at the beginning, I live in Oakland, yeah, and I work with the Port of Oakland, so I'm very familiar with the area. I'm very familiar with West Oakland. I work with the community of West Oakland quite often, and this I would love, as Commissioner Adams said, how excited he would be for adaptive reuse. I completely echo that. I mean, I really would like to see this. There's a lot that I think can be done, with this property. I know there's a lot of competing, demands for land around there. There is it on the port side as well. So I'm very excited about this. I think, again, I just want to thank you for, all your work behind this, and I clearly strongly support this, so thank you. Yeah. I'm pretty easy to find, so. So, With that, we have a motion to approve. Yes.
Sorry, I'd be happy to make the motion to add this to the National Register, the local level significance, criteria ABC. The period of significance 1912 to 1971.
Do you have a second?
I will second.
Roll call.
Yes. Commissioner Adams.
Aye.
Commissioner Hanson.
Aye.
Commissioner Hess.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoyos.
Aye.
Commissioner Schwero.
Aye.
Commissioner Volanowith.
Aye.
Chairperson Brandis.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0-0. Congratulations. Congratulations.
All right, with that, we're going to take a 10-minute break. We're going to take an 11-minute break. It's 12:19. Let's please be back and start at 12:30.